Today on CityCast Chicago, you'd probably be able to describe or pick out the Chicago flag if I asked you to. Those red stars and blue bars are pretty iconic, and you see them everywhere. Now, the Illinois state flag, on the other hand, you might need to look that one up. That's why some lawmakers in Springfield are exploring a redesign. Ted Kay is a flag design expert and the author of Good Flag, Bad Flag. He tells us what would make the Illinois flag better. It's Thursday, March 23rd. I'm Jacoby Cochran, and this is what Chicago's talking about. Ted, welcome to CityCast Chicago.
Hey, thanks for having me here, Jacoby.
I have to ask you, on the list of things Illinois has on its plate, I'm not sure where the flag falls, but Ted, why should we even care about what our state flag looks like?
It's a reasonable question. Most people will say to their politicians, why are you spending time on this? Why don't you fix the potholes? And I think a reasonable answer to that is that if the people in the state had a better banner to rally under, they could come together to meet those greater challenges.
So for many, the hope is that this is an entry point, that if you start to care a little bit more about the flag, maybe you'll take more pride. Maybe you're more likely to look up what's going on in Illinois politics. What are lawmakers doing? How can I interface with them on local issues and local concerns? But the flag is very much an entry point, you think?
When people feel better about the flag of their place, they feel better about their place. And I think Chicago is a great example of that. It may well be that people feel good about Chicago because they feel good about Chicago's flag.
The Illinois state flag consists of the state seal on a white background. It's if I'm being honest, a cartoon eagle standing on a rock with a red, white, and blue shield in its talons. It's got a red ribbon in its mouth with the phrase state sovereignty, national union. There's a sunrise over Lake Michigan and some prairie grass. And then the word Illinois is at the bottom. Ted, how would you rate the Illinois flag?
Close to the bottom.
out of all 50, you're saying close to the bottom.
Well, it groups with a lot of state flags that have similar designs. We call them SOBs. That's a seal on a bed sheet. And those designs don't fare well on the basic purpose of a flag. A flag's meant to be recognized and interpreted at a distance while it's flapping, off on the flagpole. And most state flags, a majority of state flags, are seals on bed sheets, about 30 of them. And at a distance, you can't tell them apart. In fact, that's how Illinois got the writing on its flag. Soldier in Vietnam had brought his state flag with him, and somebody said, I don't know whose flag that is. And so the solution was to write Illinois on it. Flags are visual symbols, and writing on it means your symbolism hasn't done its work.
But if you compare it to the Chicago flag, right? 4 red, 6-pointed stars against a white background with 2 bars of blue above and below the stars, how would you rank the Chicago flag in terms of flag design?
Among city flags, Chicago's is among the best. Our organization, NAVA, the North American Vexillological Association, ran a survey in 2004 asking people to rate the design qualities of 150 American city flags. Chicago and Washington, D.C. had a virtual tie for the best, highest rated flag, 8.3, something like that at the top. Chicago's is a world-class flag.
And I've learned over the last few years what that symbolism in the flag represents. The blue bars stand for the river and the lake. White bars represent the north, west, and south sides of the city. The stars represent the Chicago Fire, 1893 World's Fair, the Century of Progress Exposition, and Fort Dearborn. And I've seen this flag everywhere. Keychains, tattoos, you see it flying across the city.
You have an advantage in Chicago because there's a section of the municipal code that requires the flag to fly on all Chicago city facilities. And then the people fill in the gaps with their own flags. I've consulted to over 100 city efforts. I tell them, when you choose the flag, when you adopt the flag, that's not the finish line. That's the halfway point. Then you need to roll it out. You need to make sure it gets used. And I use Chicago as the example of great use.
When you look at the Illinois flag, and I know you say it's this just seal on a bed sheet, but as you start to get into the seal, is there anything you like about it, or do you think it's just, sort of all poorly designed?
Well, the fundamental idea is that seals don't belong on flags. Seals are meant to be seen close up, 16 inches from your eye, on a piece of paper that's not moving and only on one side. Furthermore, seals are the symbol of the government, not of the entire people. I would argue that the seal belongs to the government, but the flag belongs to the people. And the symbol of the government doesn't belong on the flag. If we look at great American state flags, Colorado, Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, Alaska.
I do like Arizona's and Alaska. Those are two of my favorite.
Those are great flags. And there's no reason Illinois can't aspire to have a great flag as well.
Just to describe a few of those for people, Colorado has 2 blue bars, a white bar, a sort of red C, and then just like this orange O. Looks like a sun in the middle. Alaska has what looks like a constellation. Arizona has this really bright orange star that sort of seems like it's shooting out yellow and red rays on it. I know you don't live here, but when you think about the people of Illinois, what do you imagine seeing on a new Illinois flag?
Well, let me lower expectations here and say that a flag's purpose is not to have something in it for everybody. It's not to encapsulate the entire history of the place or the culture or the heritage. It's simply a logo. It's simply something that people can see at a distance and remember that it represents Illinois. Consider Canada. There's more than one kind of tree in Canada, but Canada has simply chosen a maple leaf to represent the country. And in doing so, it has associated that symbol with the nation and the nation with a symbol in people who see its flag. There's far more to Chicago than River and Lake and 4 events, but Chicago's chosen a symbol and reinforced that with people. People recognize it as Chicago. And it's a very effective graphic design, just like the maple leaf in Canada. So you pick something that might represent Illinois in somebody's mind.
A handshake between 2 corrupt politicians, an ear of corn. Honestly, I think they should just put something that represents Chicago in there. Maybe just go and throw the Sears Tower up there. We'll make it work.
Yeah, well, every big flag competition ends up with its joke flags that the press picks up on. Your handshakes of corrupt politicians might be the symbol. But my point is, you could pick I wouldn't do this, but an example would be the profile of Abraham Lincoln as a son of Illinois. And Illinois is quite connected to the Lincoln story. But there are many other things, whether it's physical objects or birds or plants or just shapes. You think of Alabama that just has a red X on its flag, or New Mexico, which has a Zia sun symbol on it, or Alaska that has, as you say, the constellation, the Big Dipper and the North Star. Those flags, just pick one thing.
Yeah. Long as they don't ultimately hide the Confederate flag or just place the Confederate flag right in the middle of your state flag.
That's something I would say is positive about Illinois. In the past years, the reasons for states to change their flags or consider changing their flags have been for negative reasons. The flags have had offensive symbolism on them. Georgia and Mississippi had a Confederate battle flag on their state flags. And Illinois is saying, we can do better. We can have a better symbol to represent our state.
It's not that the flag is racist. It's just that
Correct.
It's boring and maybe outdated.
Correct. But when you think about the great designs, and when I mean great, I mean a design that's so simple a child can draw it from memory. It's just got 2 to 3 colors. It's got symbolism that's memorable. There's no lettering or seals on it, and it's distinctive. It's not the same as other flags. You pointed out how you can see the Chicago flag everywhere. People are flying that flag to say, I'm proud to be part of Chicago. They're not flying that flag to say, this house belongs to the Chicago city government.
I hear you. I'm following. I mean, Illinois' flag, is over 100 years old. And now our state is considering whether to study a flag redesign. And the sponsor of that bill is saying, as you said earlier, it could get more people engaged in state government. Have you found that to be true in other states that have recently gone through these flag designs for whatever reason?
Indeed. In Utah held a competition last year to design a new state flag and got 5,700 designs entered. And when the state narrowed it down to 20 finalists and exposed those finalists to the public, 44,000 Utahns responded with their ideas and their comments and ratings for those flags. So that was a way that many people got involved. But I hasten to say that redesigning a flag is 10% design and 90% politics and public relations.
Yeah.
Designing the flag is the easy part. I could bring together some design people and some folks from Illinois, and in an hour, we'd have 5 great designs for an Illinois state flag. That's easy. The hard part is going through the political process and the public relations process to get the flag changed, because people will say, hey, I grew up with this flag. I'm familiar with it. I like it. I can't describe it, but I like it. They'll say, it's cost too much money to do this. Why are we wasting our money on this? Why are we focusing on this when we've got bigger problems to face? There's all kinds of opposition. Even there will be, you're canceling our culture. You're canceling our history by changing this flag.
I was going to say, it's 2023. We can find anything to be divisive over. Do these efforts that are meant to bring the state together, does it bring along the potential to really just highlight the divisions amongst us as we essentially fight for what some people want to be representative of the state, some people want to be representative of their community, and any other fight that could probably be brought to the table?
I think it's entirely possible, and that's why I say it's 10% design and 90% politics and public relations. Illinois has a great opportunity. You made a point about the Chicago flag, which supports what I observe, and that is, I can tell that a city has a symbol that people have truly embraced when it starts showing up as a tattoo.
Mm-hmm.
And my guess is there are very few tattoos, if any, of the Illinois state flag.
I wouldn't fight you on that bet right there. State Senator Doris Carter is sponsoring this legislation, and the bill would create a commission which would issue a report by the end of 2024. If the commission is created, what would be your tips for the redesign process?
And there are 2 ways to do flag design. One is to hire a professional to do it. The other is to crowdsource it to the world, to your citizens in the world. And I think from a political standpoint, and the way to get the most diversity in designs, diversity across many dimensions, is to crowdsource it. So have a competition, ask people from Illinois and beyond to create designs for the flag, have a group that is broadly representative of the people of Illinois, all their institutions and all their flavors, to be the committee that narrows down the designs to a reasonable group. Separately, have 1 or 2 flag design experts tweak those designs so they are the best possible flag design. And I'm truly talking about tweaks, change this angle, change this shade of color and such. Then expose the finalists to the public. Have the public rate the designs on a 0 to 10 scale and find out what's resonating with the people. Get their comments as well. And then that flag design committee, whatever it is, takes all that back and comes up with either a finalist or a group of, say, 3 that goes to the legislature for the legislature to choose.
Hey, we will let CityCast listeners get a jump on this process. If you want to send us a text of your flag design, feel free to send that to us at 773-780-0246. Ted, I want to thank you again for joining us here at CityCast Chicago. Ted K wrote the book on this topic, Good Flag, Bad Flag. We appreciate your time.
Happy to be here, Jacoby, and good luck to Illinois on a great new state flag.
Between DC and Chicago's flag, which, as you said, were ranked sort of in a dead heat in a crowdsource, which one do you like better?
I have to admit,
He finna say DC.
no,
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna say it's Chicago. No, for me, no question, Chicago.
Before I let you go, a little bit of news, y'all. Chicago Civilian Police Oversight Commission has sent a list of 4 candidates to fill 2 vacancies on the Chicago Police Board. Mayor Lori Lightfoot can either choose between Rebecca Cook, Catherine Crawford, Asia Carr Favors, and Andrea Sofakis, or request a new list. According to WTTW, the city spent over $440 million last year on overtime pay, with almost half of that going to the Chicago Police Department. And some good news to get you through. Legendary Chicago blues singer and guitarist John Primer is among 4 Chi-Town legends headed to the Blues Hall of Fame this spring. You can see John and the Real Deal Blues Band Friday and Saturday night at Blue Chicago and River North. As always, we appreciate you for listening. Make sure you're reading our daily newsletter, Hey Chicago. Subscribe at chicago.citycast.fm. Join us tomorrow when I sit down with Britt Julius and Kelly Garcia to look back on some stories from the week. I'm going to talk to you then. Peace.
I'm trying to figure out what's on your shirt there.
A celebration of the White Sox. JFG Day, a local designer.
Got it. So the J isn't for Jacoby.
It is today.
Yeah. Jacoby feels good today. Yeah.
Come on, I like that.